About is, backing up your data and how it really ties into security. So it's, without a valid backups, a lot of the viruses that are going after they kind of wipe out your data. It's a crypto locker, it encrypts your data. There's some root kits out there that can control your system, take admin access and delete your data. So things of that nature. So you want to make sure you got good backups, you got good consistent backups and so forth. So this is the overview. What is backup and recovery, common challenges, best practices, and storage best practices. Definition, data backup, and so it's the process of copying or archiving files and folders for the purpose of being able to restore them in case of data loss. So just to kind of level set everybody here, that's what we're going to be talking about. Kind of under the covers, so if you go back a little ways back to agent-based backups, you have what are called attributes on your files. So you have basically, these are the main attributes on the files, and once you modify a file, basically what it'll do is it'll change the archive bit. And that's how a lot of the agent-based backup programs work. That's still relevant today. We still have, the majority of folks are virtualized, but there's still a couple, physical servers out there still in the world. So if we need to back those up, typically what we do with those is set up a robocopy job. And robocopy the files that change on a daily basis to a virtual machine. And that's how a lot of clients now are kind of getting around it. So instead of having a mean backup or a virtual backup, and also a physical backup, maybe backup exactly something like that. A lot of clients are basically just copying those physical machines. It's not going to give you a system type backup. It's going to give you a more file-based backup. What changes? So today, the majority of them are CBT, which is the change block tracking. This is basically with your data store. So under VMware, under Microsoft virtual server, same thing applies. This is meant to scare you a little bit. According to the National Archives and Records Administration in Washington, more than 93% of companies that suffer a serious data loss after a disaster, unable to access their data center for 10 days or more, they typically file for bankruptcy. So it's hard to recover from that type of loss. And if you're not expedient in recovering your data, bringing everything back online within 10 days, typically it's just difficult to recover. You got a lot of things that will queue up, back up, and you just, you're playing catch up, you're trying to restore and get the systems going. So, and this is related to that previous slide. Why should you care? These are basically some estimates. So the cost per hour downtime. So if you're a small company, less than $5 million annual revenue, your per hour downtime cost is going to be about $8,500. If you're a medium company, $50 million to $1 billion. 215,000. Of course, this is all averages. Some businesses will probably incur more cost. Large companies, 686,000. Now that survey was taken back in May of 2013, so it's a bit dated. So the numbers have probably adjusted up from there. So these are some common backup challenges and risks. Just keep calm. If you have a disaster, you need to restore for backups. Best to keep calm. And hopefully you have no data loss. So these are, basically your biggest risks to your data. And a lot of these are self-explanatory. Human error. So, users out on a file server, they delete a file, they delete a directory. And, one thing nice about that within Windows, you can turn on shadow copies, and they can basically do their own restores, which is kind of nice. Viruses or damaging malware, that's kind of self-explanatory also. I mentioned the crypto locker. Also, you have some rootkits out there that can happen. And you have other viruses that can roam around. SQL Slammer is another one that can basically take down a service or a server. Hardware failure, self-explanatory. Hard drives are spinning medium, so they can fail. So as with anything that moves, it can eventually go out. Power failures, we've experienced a few of those here in Sioux Falls recently, actually. So, you have UPS systems, you have conditioned power, but if your power is up for an extended period of time, multiple hours, obviously your system can fail. And if it fails in, kind of an abrupt manner, the files that were open, if it's database files or work files or whatever, those files could get corrupted. You'd have to probably restore the backup. That. Environmental conditions, if the room overheats, things of that nature. Maybe it gets too cold. I did have a client one time that had ice forming in the bottom of his racks, which was a kind of a unique situation. He had a couple large cooling systems that were actually cooling a little too well. So if you see ice start to form, that's definitely a negative event. And actually, a couple weeks ago, I had one client that had a room that got up to 130 degrees. They actually put their VR systems in a fireproof room. So a fireproof room is actually airtight. So they didn't realize that. They fired up their systems, and the air couldn't escape. So you got servers, and you got sand, and basically just kept heating up the room. It took about 24 hours, but eventually what will happen is your systems will do a thermal shutdown. They'll shut down to protect themselves. But we walked up to the door, and the handle itself was extremely hot. I mean, you touch the handle, it's like, whoa, what's going on? So environmental conditions are also very critical. So these are some challenges today, So one of the big ones is not using application-aware backup agents. And this is a gotcha out there. So if you have SQL servers, you have Oracle, you have Exchange, even Active Directory, that's a database. So that's constantly open. So if you don't have the proper agent, you're not necessarily backing up your AD accounts. So you wouldn't want to lose all that information. Another challenge is too, in the virtual world, it's very easy to spin up new hard drives and present new drives to servers. Well, a lot of your backup jobs have been defined for maybe a C and an E drive, but if you introduce an E drive, now all of a sudden you're not backing up that data. When folks start using that drive, you're missing all that data. So it creates gaps basically in your backup jobs, backup plans. And that's pretty common actually. The backup errors and warnings are ignored or not addressed. Unfortunately, that's the case. A lot of the, sometimes the alerts or the errors aren't being emailed out or they're not being sent out on a regular basis. So. The backup schema design. So this is another gotcha. So if you have multiple backups, most folks will do like a full backup, multiple incrementals, or they'll do a full and multiple differentials. What will happen is, you have multiple backups without a corresponding full backup. So maybe the corresponding full backup expired, and you're thinking the whole time you're getting valid incremental backups, and you're not. So that could be a real wake-up call for you. And then another thing with incremental backups, you're missing a chain. So incremental is going to depend on, basically a chain of files, of backup files. You're missing one chain in one component, and you try to restore a folder, that has multiple files, and maybe that file might be missing because you're missing that one chain file. So. And another thing that folks, one challenge or one oversight is they don't test file or server restores. So, that could be an issue for you. You're backing up, but can you restore? That's been always kind of a joke. Everybody would buy backup exact. Nobody would buy restore exact. So it's and that's something you want to test because a lot of times your restorations, you may not have the proper permissions to actually do a full file server restore and so forth. So. And the last one is a joke. Sunspots make that components. So some of the policies and best practices. Many companies lack a comprehensive backup policy. So a lot of times it's just a single IT person that goes out and finds, and they think they know what's important, they know what servers are important, and they forget about some smaller server that's maybe just set up to do bank transfers, or maybe some rogue, not necessarily rogue, but some server that's not a high focus server, machine, that type of thing. And then, how often should you back up? What is your retention policy? Typically, in a banking industry, insurance, and so forth, that's going to be defined for you by the auditors. They're going to say you need to keep 7 years of, if it's PCI or HIPAA, you need to keep that many back, history of backups and stuff. And the challenge with that is obviously, the software. 7 years from now, the current Veeam software we're using today is going to be antiquated, and so So it's always good to keep a copy of the actual software on the backup media. So if you ever had to restore, you have access to the software. How often should incremental backups be performed? What is the RPO? So these are really tough questions. So the recovery point objective. So how soon do we need to be up? So if you had a complete disaster, at what point do we need to be up within 8 hours? Do we need to be up by 8 a.m. the next morning? Those type of questions. Then RTO is recovery time. I'm sorry, that's recovery time. Recovery point is basically, like let's say you have the SQL database. Recovery point would be, I'm going to keep back my transactions probably every half hour or every hour. What's acceptable? What can we recover from? And then I mentioned the regulatory requirements. And one thing to keep in mind too is backups are different from replication. A lot of folks get that confused. Backups are for data loss, replication for disaster recovery techniques. So really a replication or DR type approach is to recover complete site loss. And backups are just for files and so forth. Now, one thing nice about replication is if you have a requirement to have an off-site backup, you can implement 2 policies. You can have a backup policy and a replication policy to move those backups off-site. So one of the things today, one of the best practices with backups is the 3-2-1 principle. You guys might have heard of this. But basically your goal is to have 3 total copies of your data, 2 local copies on different media. So tape, disk, USB drive, etc. And then have 1 copy off-site. So what's nice about that is if your local disk drive fails, you're backing up to, you have alternative sources to retrieve or restore information. And what's tied into all this is data storage. And data storage is, a SAM. So this is the definition of a SAM, which I've been working on for years and I really didn't know the official definition, so this is it. I guess. High-speed network of storage devices that also connect those storage devices with servers, provides block level, file level storage that can be accessed by servers and applications in the shared internet. So within, on the storage array, obviously you can do backups, you can do what are called snapshots, and those will be, basically point-in-time copies of your blocks of data, which represents your LUNs, which in turn become your data stores. So those are basically, the pointers that point to the blocks. The snap clones are basically fully allocated snapshots, so it's going to basically do a 1-for-1 copy. So if you have a server, you're running on a LUN, you do a snap clone, you're going to be able to recover a lot faster from a snap clone. And most folks have kind of a false sense of security when they implement snapshots, thinking, I could just recover from a snapshot, not realizing that it's not a full operating system, it's not, so if your original operating system becomes compromised or corrupt, you're not necessarily going to recover from a snapshot. And then obviously arrays perform replication, which is array-based replication of LUNs. They copy the LUNs to remote sites. Types of storage, this is somewhat self-explanatory, but you got your on-site storage arrays, which is a SAN, a NAS, USB drive, or tape, cloud storage, which is becoming more and more popular, and then off-site storage. So off-site storage is really, I guess you'd classify that as if you have another site. So if you have a site in Lennox or Mitchell or things of that nature, going to be classified as off-site storage. So how can we help? Well, what we can do is, as Earthband, we can offer backup and storage solutions to fit any business. So if it's a business, and we work with all, from small businesses to enterprise businesses with thousands of users, hundreds of virtual machines. So we can offer tape backup, disk backup, cloud backup, and soon, because we recently acquired SDN, we're going to basically have a cloud care or a hosting facility. So we'll be able to offer the colo services ourselves for those backups. And it could be through Satera. So if you have a Satera backup device, or you could basically back up to our colo. Or if you have Beam, so that could be another target for you. You could use ours. And we have a site here in Sioux Falls, and we have a site today in Rapid City. but we're not sure if we're going to keep that site or if we're going to locate that in Minneapolis. But we'll have basically a site here locally and then a site outside our geo. So within, we'll probably go with Minneapolis. We just don't know at this point. And we also do storage assessment. So a storage assessment is really the process of walking through your servers, determining how much space you're using, and kind of, it's really what we're going to do is we're going to size for a good backup or DR solution plan. Unfortunately, today a lot of people kind of just take a stab at it. They'll just buy a couple terabyte disk drive and hopefully it'll all fit on there. And what's nice about Beam and some backup technologies today is from the storage assessment, a lot of times you can basically take that number and divide it by basically half that number, take 50% of that number, because Veeam has natural redo capabilities, and so does appliances like Sotera. HP has the store ones, things of that nature. And what we'll do is, we can do a storage assessment, and then we can obviously come back in, do the backup assessment, review your backup policies. We can test the restore procedures and analyze your backup schema just to make sure that what you believe is out there and what you believe is happening is actually happening. Because usually there's a difference between what's really going on and what you feel might be going on. So really, folks, that's all I have. Thank you for coming. Any questions? Any kind of backup or DR questions? I know it's not a glamorous topic, but it's kind of like car insurance. You need it, right? If you don't have it, all of a sudden that day will come and somebody will hit you there again. So,
what's the cloud service you guys want from us at the end? What stays with them or what?
Yeah, it's their cloud care. I don't know if you're familiar, but it's the cloud care one. So what we're going to do is we're going to pair a facility, a total facility. This is what I'm doing, is we can basically deploy 10 racks. So 10 42U racks of space. And then what we'll do is we'll build that out. So if you have a Sotera, we could deploy a Sotera for you. And what we'll probably do is deploy more of an agnostic storage system that will accept Veeam replications from a variety of sources. So that's about all I know about it now. I don't know, so things are still getting handed out. So the details are still being defined. That'd be kind of nice because in the past we preferred clients to co-century providers. Now it'll be nice to kind of do the end-to-end solution. So we can actually set up the production site and the VR site and make those sync.
No, I don't have any questions. I just say if any of those items that Mike mentioned pique your interest, let us know. And like Mike said, backup is not a very exciting technology, but it's so necessary that you want to make sure that everything is in place and you're doing everything that you need to do. So it can be disastrous if you don't. And these tech block or the tech talks are really meant to share experiences, share knowledge, ask questions. We don't want to spend a lot of time presenting, but more want to just like Mike did, give kind of an overall summary so that you can think about what's being said, and then if you want to share anything with anybody, that really is the goal of the tech talk. Other than getting something to eat too, which is nice. So,
do you have any questions or concerns about your backups? Everything's running pretty good for you.
Yeah, I think really the assessment is a great thing to think about. At least validate the design that you've got right now, and if there's anything that we would recommend being changed, that's where we hopefully add some value. But if everybody's very comfortable with their backup strategy right now, that's terrific.
Everybody is until you have to restore it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the big action is to restore.
Well, not everybody's familiar with 3-2-1 either, I don't think, and
Yeah.
well, that's the ultimate design.
Yeah.
You know, you can walk or crawl before you walk too, so we can help design.
You guys sell a lot of meat, or is that the main product you're?
Yeah, we do.
Nowadays?
Yeah, we still sell a little bit of, backup exec for the physical servers. We used to sell a lot of net backup, which is an enterprise product. But Beam is really taking over the market. For a while there, we were just doing the native VMware backup. And that, really what Beam did is they capitalized on that API, and they wrote the software and really took advantage of the market. So, yeah, Beam's really the industry leader, I believe now. I mean, they've really taken over. There's some other players like Zerto, some up and coming ones that are trying to make a dent. But right now, Beam seems to really have they're on version 9 now. They really seem to have it, their program working well. So.
Yeah, I think we sell 99% of what we sell for virtual, backing up virtual environments is Veeam. I couldn't even tell you what the 1% would be. 100% of what I recommend is Veeam. And then backup exec. That backup just got too clunky and too hard to work with the vendor. Veeam kind of steamrolled it, I think.
Yeah, we did sell some data protector. HP has a product called Data Protector, which is a backup product. We deployed a few of those. The only negative there was the support was all in German. So a lot of the support text you had to translate. But we worked through that with those issues. So. But yeah, Beam is, like Ron said, it's like 99% of what we sell today. So.
Is anybody else using something different than
Unitrends.
Unitrends?
HD virtual, which now is part of
Yeah.
Unitrends.
Yeah.
Does Beam do physical yet?
They do for physical? No.
Because I have an older data center that has probably 7 or 8 physical servers still that
Are you running back against that?
Unitrends.
Unitrends. So Unitrends would be nice for that environment, for those physical stuff. I don't know why I guess we never really partnered with Unitrends. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, you can only support so many
Yeah.
solutions.
Unitrends was really proud of their product.
Yeah.
We looked at Unitrends as well. They're really proud of it.
Yeah.
And their support is terrible.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I
I've
will.
experienced.
Bad support. Yeah.
You can get a hold of somebody that will triage your issue, but the engineers won't call you back for 3 or 4 days.
We won't go back.
No. And what's nice about Veeam is too, keep in mind, they really doesn't care about your hardware. Unitrends is kind of a hardware solution. So you basically, they put in a box, correct? And then they have.
You can. You don't have to.
Oh, you don't have
You
to.
can run it either way. The price is the same,
Okay.
whether you buy the physical appliance or you just run the software base.
Okay. All right.
We have a physical appliance that you basically swap discs in and out just like they would tapes.
Okay. Which I've never been a fan of, just because you're basically messing with the backbone. And if you keep, in my point of view, I think you're eventually going to wear out that connection, those connectors. It's solid state too, so, there's a chance that you could, break a few of those connections. But I mean, some folks it works fine, so, as long as it works good. But yeah, I was just going to say with Veeam, it's, it's virtual. You could set up a virtual server. You could basically have any target. So if it's an old EMC array, if it's an old HP array, it just doesn't care. It just needs a one to drop the data to. So.
If they improve the way you can restore emails and stuff like that, because we did a trial and I didn't care how it worked. It was pretty.
With version 9, they included a exchange add-on that lets you do email, account, and, pretty much everything within Exchange restoration.
How about the SQL databases? Can you pick 1, 2 of them at a time too, or not?
I think they did do table level as well with version 9.